No trains on Sunday.
Is she gay? She's not gay, is she? Hi, and welcome to Fourth Wheel Podcast with your favorite throuple, where we discuss life, love, and non-traditional relationships.
Today's episode, we are going to address some of your biggest questions, and that is, how did our friends and family react to the news of us being in a throuple? And today's guest is one of our longest friends and the friend that's seen us interact the most as a throuple, Stephen. So welcome, Stephen, and thank you for being our fourth wheel.
Oh, of course, I don't really have a choice in the matter, but I am honored to be on your podcast.
Thank you. And for those of you joining us for the first time, I am Will, and I am joined by my beautiful wife and fiance,
Paige. And Cam.
So first, we're to talk about Stephen. How you know us?
How I know you, it's kind of funny, actually.
That's a loaded question.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It is. So my sister works for the same company as you do. And then eventually she just told me I needed to meet Will because Marine actor. And at the time I was trying to be an actor. Learned real quick, that's not for me. And then we began hanging out, getting really close. Will and I did some acting together. Him doing the acting, me just kind of being there. And then I've lived with you guys a couple times. You're welcome.
Which were all wonderful, wonderful experiences. And
It was really your first throuple relationship.
It was.
For being
well,
honest.
there was one before.
yeah,
He got real jealous.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
we'll have to cover that eventually.
Yep.
Jealousy that we have found in our friendships and relationships in the past. Well, that is actually a really horrible introduction to
I know.
yourself, Stephen, because you undersold yourself a lot.
That's what I do.
So Stephen is a jack of all trades. He has done so many different things. He has been a Marine. He has been a chef. He has been personal security for
Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos fame.
Yeah. So he has done a lot. He is a wonderful dog dad.
Yeah.
And a wonderful guy.
Don't make me cry.
And the most interesting part, I think, is that while we've known you for our lives here in Texas, you have actually known Paige much longer, and you didn't even know
Yes.
that whenever you originally met each other.
Yeah, she called me a douche.
Yeah.
Because I
definitely
was.
were, yeah.
Yeah, there's no denying
Thank
that.
goodness you grew as a person.
I know. Same as you.
Yes, after meeting again here in Texas, we stumbled on the realization that we've met before
Yeah.
back in Virginia growing up through mutual friends there. And I mean, our high school network was the same network,
Yeah.
same public school systems. You worked with tons of my friends.
Yes.
You lived with my sister's ex-fiance. Like,
That's
we're
the wildest
intimately intertwined without even realizing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well,
a small world.
couldn't be too intimately intertwined with that guy.
Now, that all being said, you've been friends with Paige and I here in Texas for 6 years.
It's around there. Probably
Yeah.
2018. Yeah. Yeah.
So about 6 years. So you've gotten to know us, as we've said, that you've lived with us, and you've gotten to know us as a couple quite intimately over the years, just through everything, right? COVID, school, tons of different life things. So when we told you that we were in a throuple, how did you take that?
I think it was just a round of crisp high fives. And that sounds like a joke, but I do think that was kind of how I reacted to that.
Was it surprising at all?
No, you guys had talked to me about it already in the past, just in general. I think about what really surprised me is it evolved from, oh, hey, this is just something we're trying out. And then it's just kind of like, hey, I think we're in love. And I was like, hell yeah.
Cowabunga.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you got to see a big evolution
I did. Oh, yeah.
in a pretty short time frame.
It was actually very quick because
Yeah.
I had many of those thruples and never once was it like, oh, wow, we're all in love.
Mm.
You know, it was just me there.
So the shock of us being like, hey, because let's back up a little bit and give some history, right? Upon all of those amazing credentials I gave you of Stephen, he is also a heathen.
Yes.
And he was in Las Vegas for a time period, which he was a professional bodybuilder at.
Mm-hmm.
And you dated. She was pretty well known at the
At the
time.
time, yeah. It was mainly girl on girl porn,
Okay.
but well, it wasn't just that's what it was. I was just involved as how do I put it? As a bystander almost,
Mm.
You're a prop.
I was a prop.
Mm.
That's what I was, right? I was a flesh dildo, and I loved every minute of it.
And during our exploratory time as a couple, Paige and I often came to you for advice.
Yes, if I could give it anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe just come to me to know what not to do.
That's
know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What are all the weird things we should expect?
Yes.
Good and bad.
Yeah, I definitely gave him a lot of rundowns on you're going to get tired.
Yeah. He was not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both emotionally and physically.
Yeah, everything, looking back on all the pieces of advice, I remember my reactions. All right, sure, buddy. And now I'm like, yeah,
Yep.
yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Time to go play PlayStation because I'm at my limit.
So all that being said, of us walking like through the journey of discovering our sexuality as a couple together and getting your advice of not only like what are some of the red flags we need to look out for,
Yeah.
but like how's your experiences gone? So when you met Cam, what was your initial reaction? Because I know that whenever you hear throuple,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
even from a person who is it
It's
honestly
still,
more so probably from a person who has been involved in
Yeah.
those situations.
it's surprising, to hear it where it has become that next thing,
Yeah.
whereas for me, it was always it was fleeting, right? Like someone would come in, someone would go, someone would come in, someone would go. And, hearing from you guys, oh, this person is officially going to be in our
That
lives.
permanency
Yes.
of relationship as
Yeah.
opposed to just an escapade.
Exactly. That definitely was something I wasn't expecting. That's the easy way to put it. But meeting her, I was happy. Granted, the first night we met was for your birthday.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we did. She, got to see me compete on the other team at that game show thing we
Yeah.
did and just be bad at everything.
You guys won.
Shut up. I
Yeah,
did.
we lost.
I did kill
on
it.
my birthday.
I did kill it on that pencil bouncing game.
That's so hard.
I don't know how I got it, but it did. But then, to be fair, then the next thing we did was karaoke. And man, you put a mic in front of me and put me on a stage of any kind, I don't see anything at all.
So that was a good way for you guys to meet each other, actually.
Yes.
Stripped down,
Yeah.
karaoke.
Oh, she got to see
Vulnerable.
me
Mhm.
in my fullest form.
And I actually do think that you're one of the first friends that also got to meet the kiddo.
Oh, yeah. Which I love that kid. He's a great kid.
He loves you.
Thank you.
He loves you because another resume builder here for Steven is he is a Star Wars aficionado, and the kiddo is also. So their conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we go. That kid brings up some Darth character that, I don't agree with or whatever, and then we just kind of go tit for tat.
So yeah. When we, outside of the high fives, when we first initially told you about the throuple and the officialness of the throuple, what were some of the negative thoughts or worries that might have popped into your mind?
The first one that popped up was in the past, I knew a lot of thruples that had, made that jump from we're a fling, we have a third, blah, 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 that just kind of comes and goes, to that throuple level. And it always became a power dynamic between the three of them where there was two that were together before, there was a new one, and then the new one sometimes felt like they were in a new they weren't appreciated as much as the other, like their thoughts and their feelings were at a 0.75 of the other two's one.
Mm.
right? Like they were accepted in and they were treated as equal, but they still felt like I haven't been part of this as long as the other ones. So I feel like less than, and that always bridged or wedged a gap
Mm.
between the three. And it either ended up the new one, the third, would then end up leaving with one of the others, or they would end up all three splitting because after that it was irreconcilable, or the other option, the original two stayed together and they essentially kicked out the third. And every single one of those, especially the one where the new person leaves with one of the originals, it really ruined, at the very least, the person that
Mm.
that got left. It really destroyed them mentally and emotionally. I saw that happen quite a few times, and I was genuinely worried for that.
For me,
Yes, for you specifically. Yes. um
it
I
would
did,
be me. It would be me.
I did not want to see that happen. Not to take things too low. I appreciate the laughter on top. Yes, it was him. um
But yes, those are all very, very valid and common concerns that we kind of found across
Mhm.
the board, right?
Yeah.
then I didn't want you to throw your back out, so that was the other one.
That
Too
is still a major concern.
Yeah, that's a
That's what the Pilates is for.
too late, buddy.
Yeah, we started with that.
It's a knee. It's actually my knee.
It's gonna move up. It's gonna spread.
Yeah. And knees, hips.
Yeah.
But yes, that is a major concern. It's one that I heard from a lot of our friends, from just even random people, that some of the questions actually address that we
Yeah.
got on social media is, how do you guys deal with jealousy? Girls, how do we deal with jealousy?
communication.
Yeah. No, we talk about it because I'm no stranger to those feelings.
Mhm.
Like what you described, the way,
It's human.
yeah, it's,
Mhm.
you feel so behind in the relationship that there's no way to ever equate it and be at a certain level. So like that is a normal feeling and we've talked about it. And 99% of the time, it's not a pervasive problem. When I feel that particularly vulnerable about it, we talk about it. And, they just give me the support and the communication and the understanding that I need in the moment to recognize that there's nothing any of us can do about the past, right? And it's about building this relationship together moving forward. When you come out of those conversations feeling so loved, feeling double the amount of love that you would get in an otherwise more traditional relationship, and being heard and understood and respected to that level by two people, then it just, how can you not feel an adequate amount of love? Right. So those feelings do still come up all the time, but it's what we do to handle them in those moments that leaves me walking away from those conversations, and those moments of jealousy or inadequacy, can turn into even more valuable moments of support.
Understanding.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just being given the space to have those feelings.
Mhm.
They never hold those feelings against me. They struggle with knowing not how to overcome it, right?
But no one does.
Yeah.
There's no way that they can. And I know that those feelings, it's never fair for me to place anger upon them for having had a past as a
Yeah.
couple. That's not fair. It is fair for me to have the feelings of jealousy and inadequacy.
Yes.
Like those are rational things that come up. It's just not fair for me to blame them
Yeah.
for that
Mhm.
feeling because they had
Yeah.
a long-standing marriage prior to meeting me. So then them showing up in the way that they love me and see me and never hold my emotions against me
Yeah.
or leverage them against me in any way. Like I said, yeah, I just come out feeling more loved.
That's what's important.
And really knowing that there's nothing that any of these parties can do to change the past. They are constantly working to prioritize me and to show their love and show their support and to make me feel like an equal partner in the family.
I love hearing all that, but also, to be fair, you're emotionally intelligent and you are, emotionally aware. Whereas I was dealing with porn stars and they aren't known for their emotional intelligence.
We
I'm glad to have that distinct
Yeah,
separation.
they're wonderful professionals that work very hard at
They
their craft.
they work very
They do.
hard, and
They
I
do.
respect them thoroughly, and they're my favorite type of women. But
The more you know.
the more you know. Yeah,
But it
You
is
do
interesting.
you do have a type.
it's a predilection.
Sorry to cut you off there, Paige.
But it is interesting because, especially for us, I mean, we did get married pretty young.
Yeah.
So we do have a pretty lengthy history together because of that.
23 and 22, correct?
Yeah, it was like right after I completed undergrad, and right after we had moved to Texas, pretty much. So yeah, I mean, pretty young, a lot of history. It is kind of nice though, because there are times that we can look at Cam and be like, "So glad you didn't know us then, though, because we were assholes. Like we had not grown to where we are." I do think too that it's been nice because we've tailored down our friend group and people we love and associate with
Mhm.
to a much better palette of people to introduce you to. And I imagine likewise for you too. Like,
Absolutely.
as you get older, you weed out people that you're kind of ashamed that you spent so much time around and let influence you early in life. So it is kind of nice that we can kind of do that in a strangely healthier way.
Yeah.
But yeah, just acknowledging it, knowing that, there's always going to be kind of that wish I was there for moments. And we have that with the kiddo too, of wishing we were there from day one when he came to the world. And so there's that kind of side of it too. But yeah, just acknowledging that we're human and that we're building and going forward together is always a good feeling.
But with the kiddo, you're getting the good years. Right.
This is so true. This is what I've told them.
You get
They missed out on all the just really hard work
Yeah.
and sleepless nights and being sick all the time.
Yeah.
And now you get him for the fun, his personality, like the conversation.
Yeah. He's a
Even when it
person.
is focused on particular topics that
I
maybe
like
we
those
don't want to
topics.
discuss all the time.
I'm a child at heart, i.e. a nerd, so
That's why you're his favorite.
yeah. I don't know about that, but
Uncle Steven.
Uncle Steven, I'll take it.
So that's an interesting point that you brought up, because I'm sitting over here thinking about, like, well, to get back to the root of the question of, like, all right, how was it whenever we introduced the throuple to our friends and family? At any point, I didn't have any negative feedback or negative kind of reaction, really. Even with the folks or the particular family members that we were nervous about telling. I know from myself, I was nervous about telling one of my sisters because of our differences in just points of view on things, and I wasn't. Yeah, and actually, the sister without walls she was
Just
a
all for
champion.
it.
She is a champion for this. You know what? She is progressive. She has no walls in her life.
You don't need
So
them.
who needs walls?
Yeah, who needs 'em?
So
Walls keep you in.
walls keep you in, buddy. Don't let walls keep you in.
No.
So we got nervous about some family members, particularly like when we told Paige's parents.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I was nervous for you for that one. I was definitely worried about that interaction.
They are much more conservative and more traditional, and so we weren't sure how they were to react to it. But going into that conversation, the three of us had a conversation about how to handle whatever the reaction was.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it just comes down to communication.
Well, that's the big part, And again, the ones I dealt with didn't have that communication, They weren't very good at talking. Everything was physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that as far as your mother is a little speechless, Paige.
Quite literally. But again, the key part is the communication and setting expectations of communication to each person we've told. It's like when we did tell my parents, at the very beginning, we said, "You're going to judge us. No, you're going to judge us, but I'm not going to allow you to ever display that judgment to us in person, especially directly to Cam. By no means do I ever want to hear about it. Like it's your right to reserve your own judgment." And for the most part, for everyone we've told, it's actually been about like the appropriate amount of judgment received. the caution of like, okay, well, these things can be complex like any relationship. And now you're just kind of exponentially increasing what that complexity could be.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everyone's reactions were very much like, I'm really happy for you though. And I think more than anything, everyone's like, I want to see how this goes. So I think there's an optimism layered in from most people just for that. And I think that's quite helpful.
I mean, mostly I internalize the fact that I can't keep a relationship, and now you guys just added another one.
Yeah, that's been quite noticeable for a lot of people who are a little upset.
I'm just making a joke, but maybe it hurt a little bit.
It's quite real for a lot of folks.
I know. There has been friends on all of our like sides of friendships that I think have had that feeling once or twice. Now, Cam, let's shoot over to you. Who was the family member or friend that you had the most interesting or biggest shock whenever you did tell them? I know your mother was interested.
Yeah, definitely my mom. And I told my mom pretty early on.
Yes.
Probably maybe a month or so before you guys told your folks. And I had just gotten to a point where I needed to explode. I needed to tell her because I needed to be able to talk about it and share the love. There was that new relationship energy going on, and I didn't want to feel like I was hiding it. So I just sort of blurted it out to my mom, and she was shocked because my mom had no idea that I was bisexual. I had never felt the need to come out because predominantly I've always preferred hetero-romantic relationships. I've never developed true feelings, I love all my friends, but I've never been in love with any of my girlfriends. And just, I found women attractive, but it just didn't vibe with me normally to be in a relationship with a woman.
Yeah.
I kind of just don't think I really knew all the perks at the time.
They smell good. That's a lot better.
That's a big one.
That's got to be a big one.
That's like the number one reason I could never be with the guy.
No, yeah, me too. I mean, there's a couple.
Yeah, but that's number one.
That's
Sorry.
number one.
No, Paige changed the game on that for me. So it was the first time that I had ever spoken about having feelings for a woman. And my mom just, she was fine. She wasn't judgmental about it. She just had no idea. And not that this was my first time, being with a woman, but it was absolutely the first time that feelings became involved with it with the same intensity, if not more, than I had ever felt. So what was the question again?
We're talking about your mom's reaction to finding out about the relationship.
Yeah.
There is one particular quote that lives in my brain rent free, and I hope that you can give it to us real quick.
Is it when she said, I don't want to know about the sexual stuff?
Yeah, just don't just tell me about the sex. I don't need to just know about your sex life. It's not just sex.
It was like, is this just a sex thing? If so, I don't want to know about it. And I was like, no, it's not just a sex thing. And if it were, I don't need to share that with you.
Yeah.
Had you guys shared a lot of your intimate sexual?
No, that's what I told her. I was like, did I ever talk to you about my sex life before with any other relationship? And she was like, no. It's like, okay, then it's not going to be any different. I'm telling you about them because it's a real relationship, not just because it's a sex thing that trying on for size.
I know that she had voiced a lot of concern about the kiddo.
Yeah.
And by this point, he had known for a couple weeks, I think, right?
Yeah.
That was going to be my question, actually.
Or maybe it was just before.
I think it was just before. I think we had met him by this point, but we hadn't officially told him about the specifics. And I think it was basically a week after you told your mom, then we talked to him.
Yeah, because I wanted her input on it.
That's right.
First.
That's right.
Okay.
And that was her biggest concern initially was just how this was going to impact him, if he would be able to understand it, and how this could hurt him, and those were all valid concerns. They were all things that I had been thinking about for months when I was even considering whether this was going to be a doable situation for us regardless, because I wasn't going to put my son in any sort of bad situation for him to get heartbroken or to be bullied from people who might find out and take issue with it, to lose friends over it, or just to not even understand it. So I had been thinking about this for months prior to telling my mom, prior to telling the kiddo. And when I did finally tell him, it was just love and support. He was shocked, but he was like, okay, when can they move in? Does that mean that they're going to move in soon?
I get
was
2
like,
moms.
yeah. He was like,
3.
when
Get rid of
can
a
we
detective.
increase this? Or when can we get them to move in?
Get those numbers up.
I was like, it'll probably be a year. And he was immediately sad. And I was like, no, not everybody's going to understand this. Or, do you have any questions about understanding it? And
Nope.
yeah, pretty much no. He's like, all that matters is that you're happy and, you love them. And I was like, but do you love them too? And he's like, oh yeah, I've loved them since the day I met them. And I was like, well, yeah, welcome to my world.
Paige is easy to fall in love with like that.
Yeah. But that was actually when he said something about, does that mean that they can eventually move in with us? And I just said, how would you feel about that down the road? And he's like, I would want that like right away. I don't want to wait for it to happen. I want it right away. That was, and we talked about how he can be in control of who knows and how people know, if any of his friends are going to know, right? Like we downplay it at public events. It can easily be friends, relatives. It's not that we're necessarily hiding anything. We're just not being in anybody's face about it.
So,
But yeah, those were the 2 big ones for me. Outside of that, you met several people in my friend group pretty early on as well. I'd say maybe a month or so in. My birthday party was...
second date.
Oh, yeah.
Our second date.
But I didn't introduce you as anybody then. You guys were
weren't
just
anyone then.
friends.
We were just friends then. But yeah, no, that was the most interesting group. I think that was the group you were the most nervous about, is her Pilates group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's so important to, I found, like, have this community at Pilates. It's what holds us all accountable, and it's what makes it very enjoyable. But I don't know them all on a very personal level. And so I wasn't sure how, different age ranges, different backgrounds, I didn't know enough about them personally to know how they would receive something like this. And so, yeah, I was very nervous, and it was at one of their 50th birthday parties, and had them crash this amazing party with me. And, some of the other women in the group had told me, to go ahead and invite them, because I had just said, oh yeah, I've got some friends that are currently downtown that I was supposed to meet up with after this event. And they were like, no, just invite them here. Just invite them here. And so, yeah, they show up and we're dancing. They've got a fun little photo booth area. And, I don't know that we were terribly obvious. Nobody suspected anything after that first date.
Oh, all the guys there knew. Every single man at that party looked at me and they knew.
They could smell it.
Oh, they could tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, also, we get told that she's like, we're like at the comedy club or something. We're downtown somewhere. I can't even remember.
Oh, we're downtown for a different birthday.
For a different birthday. I think we went home.
Change.
We went home, changed, got into a better outfit.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, we're not good enough.
I think we
So-
even like showered, shaved, and everything.
we did the whole like 9 yards, right? And then went back down to this birthday party. And I remember just being like, not sure what to expect, but it was a great time.
Yeah.
They were all wonderful, lovely people, like they still are. But yeah, it doesn't seem that any of them realized what was going on that night, which turned into kind of a comedic like string of events, because then she would talk about the person she was dating, but they just automatically assumed it was one guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a
They could see
Yeah.
you lighten up and wanted to find out more
yeah.
about who's doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, they were asking forever. They're like, when are we going to see a picture? I just keep posting pictures of you and your couple friend.
Just never added the two up.
And so that became a process to slowly tell all the Pilates ladies and guys. And I shouldn't be surprised, but I was. That just everybody was very chill and supportive. You know, everybody's always got questions, which we never mind. That's why we're doing this,
Yeah.
by the way. Yeah, everybody's always got questions, but they generally reserve any judgment that they may be feeling, to themselves, and outwardly support and show love. And the only concerns that typically come up are just, is this going to be enough for you? And are
It's
you
enough for him.
right?
Yeah, our response is usually it's more than enough. That's
Oh, it
cool.
is.
It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like there's halvesies happening anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
A lack of attention. If anything, it's been great to help figure out how to balance attention and learn how to meet different attention needs.
Oh, so true.
I
So
can
well
only
said.
imagine.
There's times when I'm like, I just need to be alone for a minute.
Can I take
Just
a nap?
just 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I need
just-
5 minutes.
Deep breath.
But it's really, I think it's so adorable though that even though we did meet most of the Pilates folks really early on, they didn't fully know everything till later. And we're kind of like the last ones you really did reveal everything to, because you were so nervous of losing that community, which is beautiful because it means you value them so highly. But yeah, I mean, across the board, everyone's been pretty accepting. I mean, for work, for me, it's been actually very easy because I mean, Steve and I work with your sister. That's how we reconnected again.
Yeah.
And everyone's been a huge champion. And if anything, there's like a rundown of things you can tell people think when we tell them.
Oh, yeah.
The first is usually like, come again?
Yeah.
Like, did I hear you right? The second is usually like, you can tell they then think, oh, is this an option? Like, I didn't realize this could be an option in life.
It
You can
rarely
kind of like
is.
see them reflect on their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end, they kind of look at us again of like, I'm not even more curious. Like you can tell they have questions lined up for us, for themselves.
They picture it.
Yeah, they start picturing it more. And I do think what we look like does help. The fact that we're like productive members in society and, we're not just what people often think of when you think of non-traditional relationships, I think helps everyone. And when they get to now see it firsthand, I do think we're accomplishing a goal of helping a lot of people grow in just acceptance.
How altruistic of you.
It's always the goal.
People are always shocked. So, because now that basically everyone in our personal life, I think everyone in our personal life knows. And if they don't, and you're finding out this way, oops, thought I told you. I'm sorry. But there have been those, right? Like my brother was like, wait, you're what? And I'm like, oh, dude, I swear I told you about this. And I think I did. I think you just didn't listen. It's always interesting to just see how accepting people have been. And like Paige said, how more than anything, there's just sparks of curiosity. Because as we've kind of broadly stated, we are here in Texas, and there's a lot of freedoms that Texas does not get that a lot of the other states do.
Very true.
And because of that, you would expect certain reactions from people that we meet here or that we know here. And across the board, it's been loving, understanding, curiosity. And that might be because of the way that we look. We look very corporate.
Yes, that is a very good word to use.
Look,
We're very pleasing to the palate.
if you typed in just cis white male, dark hair, blue eyes, I would pop up on if you asked AI, that's what I'm popping up.
Yeah.
Like I get that this is not what people think of when they see us.
Yeah, they definitely have preconceived notions of who does this kind of thing. and the negative connotations that come with that.
Yeah.
And I do think there is a natural inclination for so many people that have not had any sort of exposure to non-traditional relationships, or anything remotely akin to the lifestyle, right?
Mhm.
Like they immediately jump to, oh, it's just a sex thing, or oh, they must be swingers, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
that's the immediate connection everybody makes, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. There's a whole spectrum of relationships that can exist
Oh yeah.
in the non-traditional way, that are not even remotely about sex, or are certainly there's a lot of stops on on the way to
There's a
swingers, and
lot
no
of
shade
stops.
against swinging at
I-
all. It's just not, that's not what this is. It's not how this started. It's not where it's going.
Yeah, don't go there.
Right.
It's not as fun as it sounds.
Exactly. And that's honestly everything I've always heard. But my experience firsthand with people of varying different non-traditional setups, those relationships that I've seen on display have always been, highly communicative, very honest, very open and transparent, and incredibly respectful. Almost everybody's got their boundaries and, kind of the structure of the relationship that works for them lined up. And it's going to look different for just about any relationship, because you got one, two, several individuals that are all agreeing to that's what they want for their dynamic, right? Whereas, on the other side of swinging, well, I'm not going to pretend to know as much about it, but I have met several people who have had long-standing exposure to that world, and they all talk about it in the most toxic
Oh
sense.
yeah.
And so it's very important to me, I think, with this podcast, is that we want to educate people to know that there isn't just zero to swinger. Like that's not how it works.
Only sometimes.
It's not as terrifying as all that, or nearly as toxic.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying all swingers that it's like that, just that has been what I have heard, with a pretty large sample size of knowing people that have at one point or another been heavily involved with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want everybody to know that, like, it's not always about just like the most deviant. Now I feel like I'm calling swingers.
Yeah, you're digging a hole. You're really digging a hole.
We're gonna stop there.
It's not always about just purely sexual needs.
Yeah, just 70% of the time.
Well, that's the shocking thing, actually, because I mean, we have met people more and more just from random acquaintances, people we've met over the years, who are more involved in non-traditional, either sexual or actual relationships, and we're discovering Texas in particular does have a huge community, whether it's the
Huge.
queer community, the swingers community, and it's pretty fascinating because people who are typically in the more traditional swingers community look at us and think, "Wow, y'all are crazy." Because they're looking at, typically it's a sexual thing for them, and they're blown away by the fact that we're like, no, this is a relationship that takes work and effort and
Yeah.
love. And I think they often, because there is kind of a known influence of patriarchy in the swinger community. And they look at this like it's crazy because we've got two women who are very much equal, if not often like in charge of decisions. And that
Yeah.
kind of blows their minds.
Which is what I want. Right. I don't want to make a damn decision.
Oh, he hasn't had to plan a trip in months now.
Just put a leash on him and take him wherever he needs to go.
But so that's the fascinating thing, is looking at is, yeah, it's even the sides of sometimes the community that's engaged more on the what other people would think hardcore areas of sexual exploration are then caught off guard by the relationship side of it. So it's really interesting to see how people react differently.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The patriarchy is very strong within the swinging community from what we've heard from acquaintances and other friends. I am in the best position possible, and that is between two beautifully intelligent women who are capable of so much that I don't have to do a lot.
Sounds so nice.
Like it is, and it makes me feel lazy at times because I kind of am just like, all right, well, you guys got it. All right, I'll take care of this stuff over here. But it's been great. I love every second that I get to just be around these two. What was your first experience in the non-traditional relationship realm like, Stephen?
The first one was literally just a girl that my ex was filming with.
Hmm.
Right. And something that a lot of them would do is they would practice first. Right. A lot of them, they're not as broadcasted. They're able to be in a small room together and it's just them and they become comfortable and they kind of break that seal as a way to say it. Right. Like the first time they're together, they don't have to be on the camera.
Mm.
It makes things a lot more natural for them when they finally are on camera.
It's like actual production.
Yeah, exactly. And I just got to be the fluffer, essentially, right? I got to be there. And, she would bring the girls over and, would basically be like, if you want him to join, he's here to join if he wants to. And so I never had to do anything.
You didn't have to seek it out.
I didn't have
Yeah.
to seek it out. I wasn't on any sites. I didn't suggest anyone. It was always just like, oh, I'm in there in my underwear playing PlayStation. And she'd walk in with the girl and it was just like, pause, So I need to pause my game real quick and I'll get back to it.
That is how 85% of all porns start.
Yep.
Is that scenario right there.
Mm-hmm.
You guys could have just been filming your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a couple videos of me around. Just kidding. Don't look.
There probably are. So that leads into another question of what was the first time that your girlfriend or significant other at the time approached you with it? Like, how was that fielded? Or did she just walk in and was like, hey, surprise?
Oh, yeah. Like, was it already expectation to be dating that person anyway, knowing what they did for work?
It wasn't like an immediate thing, right? Like it was quite a few months before that started to happen. I didn't feel comfortable fielding that. I didn't want to be like, hey, you're sleeping with other women. I should get to sleep with other women too. That really wasn't part of any conversation we had. It was actually at a point which, and I'll give this to her, it was we'd already moved. We were in California, and it was like, do you want to be a part of this? Is that something that you are interested in? And there was definitely a conversation, but I was young. She was young. So it wasn't as deep or emotionally understanding as, the conversation that you guys probably had. It was a purely physical, I get to do this. Do you want to be part of it? So the boundaries weren't ever really set up in any particular way. We kind of bumped into those walls as we found them, which definitely caused turmoil at times. But yeah, that's how she brought it up. Just I had made a comment, I think, about how this girl was really cute that she was about to do a thing with, and that offhanded comment began the rest.
But the framework of her profession had already
Yes.
laid down the opportunity of being
Without a
like,
doubt.
okay.
Yeah. I had never been in that situation before. Like I'd never been with someone who wanted to branch into that world. I mean, all of this is late teenagers, early 20s. That's not necessarily something we thought about at that level, at least me.
Because this is what, 2014?
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, like, OnlyFans wasn't really a big popular thing
It
yet.
was
Like,
not.
it wasn't even really conceived.
No.
I mean, 2014, I think YouTube is still like,
It's not huge.
yeah, it's not
What
massive.
it is now.
Yeah, it's not what it is now. So like a lot of things grew. Okay.
It's actually pretty funny. I remember specific conversations about OnlyFans starting and her not being a fan of OnlyFans because of it fielding into her work. It began to take pieces of that pie.
Yeah.
I can-
essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine that's just a huge threat to the market of
Oh yeah, and it
of
was.
what they were. Yeah. Now it's almost impossible, I imagine, to make money on there.
On
It's like,
OnlyFans. Or,
yeah, it's like trying to start a podcast.
yeah. And there's so many. The last girl I dated, we were together for about 3 months. This was last year. She's way up there in OnlyFans, and uh, she was telling me how just cutthroat it is.
Yeah.
Just insane. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people on there at any given moment. So, and it only shows you the top like 30, right? You have
Whoa.
to search for the rest. So-
Man, and like porn was to be my backup to acting. This is just getting worse and worse for me, man.
Yep. Just stand on corners. That's my
Oh.
that's my
Boy.
advice.
And now, so we want to circle back around to some of the reactions that we had when we told some of our most key family members, such as parents. And let's start with Paige's parents. For those listening that don't know, I don't really have parents. I just never really liked the concept of parents.
Mhm.
So I did away with the concept of a parent very early on. They're more like friends that didn't hang out with me. So didn't really tell my parents, but we did tell Paige's parents, and I often care about Paige's parents' opinion more than I should. Because
Way of putting it.
I do really respect them and love them. So I was very nervous whenever it came to telling Paige's parents, as I think all three of us were.
Yeah.
Steven.
I was nervous for you, for sure.
So yeah.
Oh, my
no,
coworkers were nervous. Everyone was nervous for me. It is funny though, because leading up to it, that we did tell my sister first though, and we had told her like when we first started kind of exploring stuff anyway, just like funny little tidbits about people we had met or just questions and stuff, and so she knew high level what we had like been doing, and then when we had first started talking to Cam and first met, I think we did tell her like, oh, by the way, like this is, and we've been hanging out with Cam a lot, and this is what she like looks like, and like sent some photos from Instagram and
Cam
whatnot.
a lot,
Yeah,
not
Camelot.
Camelot.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I heard that.
And then it was, I think, after you told your mom and after you told the kiddo, I think it was one that was okay, like now that we're telling family and it's going well, we probably need to go ahead and explain how serious this is to everyone. So then I think from that point is when I had told my sister, like, hey, we are officially a throuple and like we're planning a family unit together. I'm like, this is how serious it is. And yes, we're going to tell our parents. It's just waiting for the right time because they were supposed to come out in a couple months for my graduation visit. And so I think it just kind of happened naturally where we had to talk to them before we were going on a trip to Chile. And so we thought, okay, this will be the perfect time to tell them. And it was right after I think we had told most of the other family members up to that point. So we were just kind of talking on the phone with them. And finally, during the phone call, they had said, okay, well, who is it that you are going on your trip with? And so that's when we're like, all right, well, that's also why we went ahead and called you and want to let you know some other big news. And that's when we said, without any warning, they had no idea that for, a couple years, months leading up to this, that, we'd been expanding our interests. And all they had known is the prior year, me being sick a lot too. So they had just no context of what they're about to walk into.
I don't know. They saw a lot because all right, the escapades and the women that we had gone on our journey with, we became friends with a lot of them, and so we did do things and activities that we would take photos of, and it would go on social media. So they had just kind of seen a line of like different new friends that are appearing on social media. And then so whenever they did ask, they were like, all right, well, who's this most recent one? And like, how did you guys meet her? Like all these things. And like they had a parent's intuition is what I'm leaning into here.
Yeah.
Do you think they thought it had to do with you being sick the prior year? Like it
Yes.
brought it on?
And I did like firmly say no, that like that has nothing to do with this. They of course didn't know that during the whole year we had been doing stuff anyway. But yeah, they definitely they were trying to find reasonings of why this happened. But so we're on the phone call and they asked who are we going to Chile with, and so we said yes, this is Cam. We're actually dating her. We're like in an official throuple. And then that's when we did the whole, we get it. This is probably the most taboo thing. Society still views this very taboo. So we understand you're going to judge coming back from their specific religious background and everything. Like we laid that groundwork. But we're like, but we want you to ask any questions that you have and everything. And it was just silent for a bit. And the first thing my dad said, because he's a very like rational, logical man, and he just went, I assume Cam is short for something.
Oh, sorry, that's your dad, though.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know if that could have been a more perfect, like, representation of him as a human being.
it was perfect.
Is that what he asked about Will when you told him about?
Is
I'm
that
assuming Will is short for something.
or something? Is that a longer? There's a longer name there,
Yeah,
right?
I think the patriarchy was at play in that conversation.
But it was so funny because yeah, my mom was silent the whole time, and she's usually not. So it hit her hard.
Oh,
But then he just he did have a lot of questions. Very logistical though. I mean, like his Air Force officer brain came out,
mhm.
and I'm sure they were quite shocked. So that probably just instinctively kicked in for him. And a lot of questions were like, okay, are they living with you? Because we also told him about the kiddo, and there's a lot of questions about okay, what about his dad? Is he local? How'd you guys meet? Like truly how serious this is. But very, very just logistical, rational questions. And so we come up to speed of everything we had discussed to that point. For example, like, yeah, we're now house shopping. We're trying to figure out how to get out there, the appropriate time and mend or mold the households together. But yeah, my mom really didn't just ask any questions at all, which was really funny because Cam, I mean, when you talk to your mom, she brought up the whole like, oh, I just didn't know you were bisexual. And I mean, growing up, that was my parents' biggest, or I should say my mom's biggest fear, that I would end up being a lesbian. I mean, I wasn't allowed to play like softball.
But-
when I first decided to go to UVA and actually go to college instead of not going to college, my sister had told my parents, she was like, hey, Paige has some pretty big news for you. You're going to be excited about this. And apparently my mom was like, is she gay? She's not gay, is she? She's like, no, you're going to be excited for this. She's going to go to college. It's like, that's kind of what we were expecting.
She'll be gay there.
Not a single. Funny enough, that's not like where
Yeah. Mhm.
that happened.
Yeah.
A lot of lost opportunity, apparently. But not a single question came up about that. Nothing about basically me coming out to my parents, because up until this point, I mean, I'd only been in hetero relationships, very long-term relationships. We've been together for a decade. Not once did they say anything about that. They just glossed over it and moved on. It's never been brought up, right?
Which is super strange because her mom loves being right. And like, you know that she was like, I knew it.
I imagine they like muted the phone and she just looked at my dad. I can imagine the conversation that truly happened.
fucking told you.
I told you we shouldn't have let her call herself Luke Skywalker for all those years.
But so there's a lot of, yeah, I told you so's that I'm rights behind closed doors, I'm sure. But they were actually very polite and respectful for the most part,
They were so respectful and open, honestly, about it. So much more so than I ever gave them credit for thinking they could be. And I actually felt really bad about that afterwards, just being like, ugh, I really projected a lot of my own fears of what I think society's gonna think onto what I expected them, how I expected them to react.
Granted, right before we had called them, I did text my sister being like, I'm about to tell them, just a heads up. You're probably going to get a phone call or messages after this. And sure enough, she was like, well, yeah, they're texting me now. And she did ask us, she asked Will and I both, do you want to know what they're asking or saying? And we're like, you know what? No. how about this? Like, we want to wait until they get to meet Cam and the kiddo and see us like all truly together and how we interact, until we know what their like initial judgments truly were, so we can prove them wrong, kind of, so that we could see their growth, but not have to feel that pain initially. That of course, like naturally, we probably would feel. And I do think that's pretty much exactly what happened, because then a couple months later, they came down for my graduation, and I'm sure we were all super, super nervous, huh? But it went pretty well after actually getting through graduation ceremony, getting through pictures. I think it went pretty splendidly.
They actually, as we knew they would, they love Cam. They love the kiddo. I think they're very excited to have another grandchild that is in the fun stage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, because I do sometimes think about how grateful I am that we missed the chaos that your sister is currently going through.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is a lot.
2 young kids is rough.
It is a lot. But yeah, your sister was a great support system throughout it. Strangely enough, the throuple has brought her family closer.
Yeah, I would definitely say so.
And maybe it's just because we have more interesting conversations and topics now. They fall in love with Cam and the kiddo. And as we knew they would, as we know everyone will, whenever they see us interact and see us all together, they get it, right? Because as I tell people, I didn't expect this either. This wasn't on the 2024 bingo card. This is actually a rule that early on, when we started exploring our sexuality and stuff as a couple, I was like, this is the thing that I don't want. I don't want another person who is permanently making decisions or having an impact on our long-term goals or future. And then 2-3 months later, that just all gets thrown out the window.
Yeah, that's true.
So fast.
It used to be nothing where there's like someone else involved in financial decisions. And here we are building a house.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Yeah, when you put it like that.
Yeah, I didn't know that was like your thing.
I had a very much. Well, I mean,
it was like no actual dating, like relationship wise. And that was kind of like, well, what do you define as actual dating? And it was like, yeah, as soon as like there's influence and big decisions, moving, any kind of financial decisions.
There's certain things in my life that I like how they are. And I was not ready for them to be challenged or the possibility of change coming up. For those that don't know, I'm an actor. My career's been about 7 years now. And with the past 4 of those 7 years, there's been just world hurdles as far as like my industry goes. And so I was not about to bring another hurdle in, keeping me from going to LA or keeping me from being able to pursue like what I wanted to pursue as far as my career. And then you came in, Cam, and I was like, oh, never mind. Like I'm fine with changing whatever we need to change. And honestly, that's what reminded me a lot of our relationship early on, because I was very stubborn and bullheaded in what I thought my future looked like as far as my Marine Corps career and going to Special Forces and doing all that. And then I met Paige and I was like, never mind, I'll change.
No, I'll go home.
I'll go home. I'll go home now. That sounds nice.
Yeah.
Sleeping in the mud and
fun.
being wet all the time. That hurts. So yeah. And then I pivoted there, and then I don't think I'm gonna quit acting, but I definitely think that I'm finding a path that still worked better for me. And what's that saying? If you get too worried about what you want, you won't get what you need.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah. No trains on Sunday.
No trains on Sunday. Locomotive.
But it is a perfect example of just in non-traditional relationships in general, it's so important to have boundaries and know which ones you're firm on and which ones you're not. But in general, I mean, a lot of the rewards we've gotten in life have been from just saying yes to opportunities that kind of came out of nowhere. And I couldn't agree more that this is a perfect example.
Same. I certainly fought against it a number of different ways, and was slower to admit my feelings and just the possibility of this being a remotely feasible path. Because it meant I had to give up a lot of what I had perceived my future to look like, right? Of finding just a singular person, like most of us do. Everybody sets out to find their person. And so changing that course, being like, okay, yeah, this is, and not just my life, but obviously the kiddos. But it was worth it, because you can't walk away from feelings that find you when they're, not only are they that good, but they are everything that you have been needing, right? That feeling of safety in love, that is so hard for most people to achieve with one person, let alone two. It's a very unique thing that just deserved the chance.
Oh, look at that silence.
Couldn't agree more. That's our show for today. Thank you, everyone, for being our fourth wheel on our second episode. We will have more of Steven next week with part 2, where we answer all of your social media questions. So if you have anything you want to ask us, be sure to follow Fourth Wheel Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and all fun social media platforms. Again, thank you so much for listening. We love you.